Good morning, my friends, and welcome back to my channel, Southern Yankee Beauty. So this is the first time I'm doing a video like this, so I'm very curious to see what you guys think and if you like this type of video. We are doing a dupe video. So we have the Natasha Denona Glam palette here, and then I also have the Temu Glam palette from what do you call it, from Temu. So we're gonna try both of these on. I'm gonna just give you a sneak peek of the look here. Now I'm under pretty bright lights so you can see, but I'm gonna show pictures. You'll see under the other lights, and we'll do some natural without the lights, just sunlight, just to give you a look. But so what I'm curious at is, can you tell a difference? Because there's quite the price difference. So let's talk about the obvious differences. You're gonna see swatches two side by side. So obviously there's a size difference, right? So this is much larger, and the Temu is much, or the Glam palette Temu one is much smaller. Both have a similar color, gray. This looks more like metallic-y silver. In person, I don't think you can tell. Then when you open it up, you have a mirror and you have 15 shades, and this retails for $69. When you open this one up, I didn't think there was going to be a mirror. There is. You also have a mirror, and you also have 15 shades. Obviously much less product because these are smaller pans. Let's just look at them. Actually, we'll just look at them side by side. And they even put the matching shades in the same spots, okay? And at the end, I'm gonna tell you my final thoughts on both of these. But this retails, this little one, for $6.98, and this retails for $69. So you literally are saving $60 if you buy the little one versus the big one. Maybe a little less, because if you use my discount for Natasha Denona, you'll get 15% off of here. So does quality matter? Or does the look you get matter? Or does the effort that you put in to putting your eyeshadow on matter most to you? So those are the things that we are going to look at today when we try these on. First, however, I'm going to go ahead and show you the swatches side by side. And what I did is I went row one, and I did row one, and then I start with the Natasha Denona shadow, and then right under it I put the coordinating shadow under the Temu palette, and we'll go, there'll be 3 little video clips of these swatches coming up here for you in just a moment. All right, here is the first row of the Natasha Denona, which is the first shade, and the Temu. And I would say they're close, but you can see that the Temu, the second shade, has more pink in it, or peach, where you have a little bit more of a neutrally color. I also think that the Natasha Denona here has more reflectivity. So that's just my opinion, but here they are side by side. You can see them for yourself. Both beautiful. Going down to the second shade, again, we have a color difference a little bit. We have the Natasha Denona, seems a little bit more gray, a little bit more gray, I would say, in there. And then the Temu has a darker base. Again, I think those are going to translate pretty close on the eye, though. I don't think you're going to see too much of a difference. Sometimes I had to build up the Temu, more often I would have to build up the Temu on the matte swatches to get the same color pigmentation, but like not on the shimmers. These are just like, one good swatch each. Here's the Natasha Denona, is like a really pretty pinky shimmer, pinky champagne shimmer. And then you have the Temu's, to me, has a little bit more orange in it. Then we have a Natasha Denona taupe. These I thought were fairly similar, and the Temu taupe. I don't think that's going to translate different. I would say maybe Temu has a little bit more of a lighter brown shade where it's a little darker with the Natasha. And then these shades are different. It's hard to see because like this one is like a transition shade, so they're really hard to see, but one is a little more gray. There we go. And the other one blending into my skin is a little more skin tone, a little more of a peachy, like a light skin color, where you can see you've got more taupey there in the end. So that is your first row comparison. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's look at the second row. starting with the first shade. There's no names on here. So the first shade is Natasha Denona. The second shade, I'll get you guys in the light. The second shade is the Temu palette. So you can see there is a slight variation in tone. Natasha Denona's first shade is a little bit deeper, a little bit more chocolate. The Temu is a little bit more brown, right? Like more of a lighter brown, but very, very close. Moving on to the second shade, you can see that the Natasha Denona shade has a deeper, darker tone, and they kind of missed this one. This one looked pretty off for me. The Temu looks a little bit more like a pale peach. Not as much brown in there. And then moving into the next shade, this is in the second row. These looked pretty much the same. I really couldn't tell much of a difference with either one of these. I will say that they do feel different when you go to swatch them. The Natasha Denona's mattes feel creamier and softer, but they swatch pretty much the same. Then we go to this next shimmer shade here, and again we have a color difference. So Natasha Denona's has a little bit more of a taupey color, and I feel like this one they were pretty different. You can see that the Temu is almost just like a champagne-y creamy color, and it's missing that taupe shade. Now, whether that will translate different on the eyes, I don't know. And then the final shade, these were close, but again, you can see a little bit. The Natasha Denona has a little bit more silver gray, a little bit of a darker base, whereas the Temu has almost like a taupey base. So here are your swatches and comparisons from the second row of Natasha Denona. Let's do the final row next. All right, let's just go ahead and start by taking a look at the third row before I compare anything. First swatch is Natasha, second swatch is Temu. You guys can see what you see as far as different tones and differences. Excuse my tripod there. And then I'll go through and show you a little closer. All right, so starting with this first swatch here, you can see Natasha Denona's is first. It's a little lighter, and the Temu is a little darker, a little bit more. They both have flecks of like gold in there, beautiful bronzy shades. Both are beautiful, but slight tonal differences. Again, I do not know if that's going to translate any different on the eye. We'll find out, but you can really see that there is a difference there. Now this next shade, would surprise me. The Natasha Denona's is first. The Temu actually swatched better and had more pigment and was a stronger swatch. So we'll see those two. But then again, I feel like the Temu one is a little deeper and the Natasha's a little bit lighter. I even feel like the Temu has a little bit more reflectivity than Natasha's in this particular shade. So that was interesting. Moving right along, here we go. This is one of the light shimmer shades. Natasha's is a very pretty, creamy, and reflective, just sort of a champagne-y tone. A little tiny, maybe splash of peach. Where here's the Temu, it has definitely more peach and a little bit less reflectivity, but overall close. Not the same, but close. The next shade here, we have the Natasha Denona first, more of a charcoaly color with a deeper base. And then I felt like the Temu had more, like almost like an olive base a little to it. There's our kitty in the background. And then the final swatch here, I think these tones are fairly different. Again, another like pinky champagne color, and then you have more of a peachy beige with the Temu. So overall though, I mean, from swatches alone, this is a pretty good dupe. It's not exactly the same, but you'll get the same kind of looks. We're going to test these colors and shades side by side on the eyes and see if you can tell the difference.
Okay, guys, let's get started and see if we can tell the difference. So if you guessed that this eye was the Temu and this eye over here was the Natasha Denona, you are correct. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's start with Natasha. But before we do that, we want to prep the eyes. We want to give both of these palettes a good shot at being, you know, at having the same potential look. We'll see. Let me find some primer. I'll be right back. Okay, for today we're using our Urban Decay, and so we're going to put a little bit of this on each eye.
I'll bring you guys in close for the application as well of the eyeshadow. I actually like the Urban Decay in this little squeezy tube versus like the one with the applicator. I like it a lot better. All right, I'm just gonna clean that up. There's still some remnants, even though I washed my face. I actually washed it last night, a double cleanse, and still have stuff on my eyes. Okay, so let's start with Natasha Denona. Now, there's no colors in here, so I just have to show you what we're doing. I'm going to start out with, I'm going to start out with the crease color right here. It just says crease. Bring you guys in. And I'm going to look down and I'm going to go ahead and get that in the crease. Now I love Natasha Denona. She's one of my faves. Beautiful blend. Easy, barely touching my eye at this point. So application with her stuff, amazing. I mean, I'm just lightly sweeping it over my eye and getting a beautiful blend without really doing a whole lot. That's exactly what we love. Beautiful. Different brush. So this was a Morphe. Now I'm going into another Morphe. Are these the same brush? M513 and M453, so a little different, but make sure this one's cleaned off. Okay, so now we're going into the same shade here. And let's see if we have the same experience, same color payoff, what we're dealing with so far. Oops. Okay, so a little powderier, as you can see. It's not blending as easy, but it's not hard to blend, but it's the pigment seemed a little stronger there, and it was getting a little patchy for a minute there until I blended it. Okay, so upon first application, the application's different for sure on these two shades, but let's look in the middle. We'll look over side by side. I'm not sure the color's gonna be too much different. All right, well, I can tell a slight difference. This seems a little cooler maybe, but I'm really not seeing much of a difference, honestly. It's so slight you can barely tell. What do you guys think for that first shade? Pretty close, right? Pretty close. Okay, so now what do we want to do? I think we're going to go into the smoke shade, which is right here next. I'm going to use the same one that I used for the Natasha side. I'm just using my switch, if you wonder when I say my switch, just to take the shadow off. All right, so let's go into the smoke shade. And let's just tap that right here. There's that. Now we're going to do the same thing. Go into the smoke shade over here. All right, so right away, the first thing I'm noticing is this shade, it like merged kind of closely with the shade that we put down, whereas the Natasha, let me get my other brush here, the Natasha Denona stayed, it's a little bit darker, a little bit more pigmented. I'm gonna come up a little higher just to make those two even, so just keeping this separate. This one seemed to, I think you just need to build it up a little bit, but you'll get the same pigment for the most part. Seems like there's a clear color difference on the Natasha side than this side. I feel like these are almost blending. Hey, kitty.
got a cat doing something. All right, I think we should try some of these shimmers. I'm curious to try the gold shimmer. So we're gonna go in down here. I'm just gonna use my finger. It just says center eyelid shade. We're gonna and that's where we're gonna put it. Just tap that in because we're gonna put another color too. Beautiful and effortless with this. Oops, but I did cover up. Get the 5131. Nope, wrong one. All right, I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna go back into the Natasha Denona smoke shade here and just go over that little mess I made. I'll do that on the same other side too. Really pretty. Okay, so that was the Natasha Denona. So, different finger too. This shade I did feel was a little bit darker and not as reflective, but like I said, I don't know if that's gonna make any bit of a difference on the eye. When I did the swatches, it was just something I noticed. Okay, so you can see right away, so that was just one tap down with the Natasha. I like the Natasha one better. This one is darker and does not have as much reflectivity. That being said, when you're saving, you know, over $60, you might not care because you're gonna get a very, very similar look with this. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna take our little brush and go back into the smoke shade and just darken it up just to get it a little bit more even. This one's also a little flakier. So there I can see a difference in the reflectivity. This is definitely a darker gold. This has definitely got a shine that this one's not going to compete with. So little slight change there. Now, granted, once I have it all in my eye, I don't think it's going to be super obvious, but the next shade might be because this I noticed a difference on. So for the next shade, I'm going to use the Natasha Denona Inner Corner shade. I wanted to use some of the shades that I did see a little bit of a difference in, just to see if it was going to be different on the eye. This is a beautiful, beautiful, reflective shade. All right, I am going to just take a different brush here and clean it up a little bit. Just pull this up and make it a little bit cleaner. Just like that. Okay, so there is the Natasha Denona side. Very beautiful. All right, let's do the same thing on the other side. We are going to go into the inner corner shade here. All right, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to clean off the brush I used and do the same thing with this shade just to kind of get it cleaned up. And we pulled it over. I'm actually going to go in with this one because it's not as shiny for sure, but I'm going to take a little bit on the brush and just make sure we have a really good layer of it down, because sometimes you got to build the shades a little bit when you're having a dupe to get the same color payoff. Okay, so what I feel like this did better than this, just looking at these two eyes, I do prefer this side. This side's much shiny and it's more cohesive. The colors blended nice here. You can see the difference in the gradient from this to the gold to the dark. Here, it's all kind of mixing in. Now, I don't know if I can fix that, so let's go in a little bit more with the gold. You're gonna have to work a little harder with the Temu palette, but it's actually quite good quality. It really is. It's not, I don't want you to think this is bad quality, because this particular palette is good quality. There we go. So let's look at this eye. Still pretty. Still pretty, guys. All right. So for the upper eyelid, like to do like up here, a bone shade right here. Let's use that. It's very shiny. What I do like that they did is they put all the same shades in the same spot as the Natasha Denona. All right, so this is flaky. You might have just saw some of that fall off. It's definitely not the same formula, but pretty dang close. Color story is pretty dang close. Okay, so now we're gonna go on the bottom. So for the bottom part, right in the middle here, because it's a nice dark like gray color, and I'm just going to put that right in at the lash line. You can see how dark that is. I'm just going to take my finger and blend that a little bit. Just like that. The lash line shade here. I actually like how this one applies better, but it is not as pigmented as Miss Natasha. And this is the second coat, where I think you only need one coat for her color. Hers is a much deeper darker, and I put it on my face. So we're seeing a little bit more fallout on the Temu side. So there's definitely a quality difference for sure. All right, now we're gonna go under it with the transition shade, and I'm gonna use this brush here, which is a Beauty Pie brush. It's transition shade right here. And I'm gonna go right under what we have here. And that will help, and all the way across. That will help kind of soften that dark shade under the eye. And that's sitting more or less like a tone that's like barely there in my eye. This one is a Falker brush. All right, so going into this shade here, which is the transition shade, and doing the same thing here. And in the swatches, if I remember, this had more of a peach, and I can see that it is pulling a little bit more of the peach, and this one had a little bit more gray, and that's what it did. It pulled the gray. All right, so now I'm gonna go into the blend shade. Actually, for this one, because I just cleaned up the same brush, I'm gonna use the blend shades right here. I'm gonna use this and go underneath here for Temu's. We're going to get some dark shades. I just want to play here and just see what we can come up with. Now taking the Beauty to the blend shade. Much more pigmented. Yeah, that gave me, I barely did anything and it gave me a pigment. Okay, I'm just going to use a pencil brush and go into our smoke shade, which was the shade that we have out in here, and so that we have a little bit more cohesion, come down a little bit more there. Blend that better. Okay, I'm I just clean this brush off, and I'm going to go into the same smoke shade right here. All right, now sticking with the same color here, I think I want to go into this center eyelid shade and give it a little brightness. I'm doing different colors, so I'm just testing. I'm not super concerned like that the look's beautiful, but we're gonna do the Natasha Denona center lid shade on the bottom of the lid to give it a little brightness down here. This has got a little pink in it. This shade right here. Just like that. Clean it off. Make sure there's no color on it. Right here. Oops, I just messed it up. I want to clean that up. I wanted the wrong color. It's this color. There we go. Okay, for inner corner, I'm going to go center eyelid shade right here in Natasha. A little bit more. Okay. And we're going to go into the center eyelid shade on Temu. That's beautiful, actually. I might prefer this one on Temu. It's funny because some of the shades I like better here and some of the shades I like better here. Okay. All right, here is the final eye look. I'm going to give you some more close-ups too, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish the eyes off and we'll do some more photos, but now I'll give you my final thoughts. I'll be right back with a finished face, but here is the still shot of them both. All right, guys, just to tell you what I did to finish up on the lips, I have the ColourPop BFF liner. I just tried this new matte Transluce Nudie Pink, I think this is. Empower Me Nudie Pink. On the cheeks, I have Tower Beauty in the color Magic Hour. Right there. And then on the cheeks, I did a mix of this Dior palette. I just mixed these two shades together and did that. And I am going to take some Beauty Pie powder, just finishing powder, and just set the whole face. Especially in here. And I'm just going to spray it with my, I think this is about empty. Just some more face setting spray. Let that sit for just a minute. Oops. All right. And we are done, friends. So here's the final look. Natasha Denona side. Temu side. Both together. Can you tell the difference? All right, what do you think? I'm so curious about your opinions below. I'm going to give you my final thoughts here in just a moment at the end, and also talk with you about a potential another dupe that I want to see if you're interested in. So stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome back. So you just saw the complete try on. Now, I would say in this light here, I don't see as much of a difference. But under the lights over there, I think there was a more of a difference. The Natasha Denona side is definitely more reflective. So let's talk about these palettes and the differences. So do I think this is a good dupe? Yes. Do I think this is good quality for $6.98? Yes. This is really good quality for $6.98. Worth picking up, honestly, in my opinion. If you want the look of Natasha Denona and you just truly can't afford this, then go ahead and pick this one up for $6.98. This would be $69 minus the 15% you'll get if you use my link. Now, let's talk about what the big differences are. So let's talk about the shade colors, all of that. They did a good job, but there are some differences, as you saw in the swatches and in the application. So the Natasha Denona is definitely creamier. The shades the metallic shades or sparkly shades have more reflectivity, and they just pop a little bit more on the eye. They just do. They also blend. Her mattes blended easier. They just like one dip in and you got enough pigment to do it. A couple of times I had, especially the smoke shade, I had to really build that up over here to get a similar look. You had to go over it. Like when I put one shade here and here, there wasn't a clear definition of the change between the two shades. Felt like I had to darken it up. The gold over here was a little darker. This one was a little more vibrant and bright. So yeah, there definitely is change
changes in that, differences in that when you're putting these on the eye. But overall, like, I don't think that if I didn't tell somebody I had 2 different eyeshadow palettes on my face today, I don't think they're going to notice. I don't know, because in certain light, you may see that the Natasha Denona is quite a bit more sparkly. We're going to go outside and we're going to take some photos outside and just see really, truly what it is we're working with in regular light. This is a very bright light, so it's kind of muting everything out. So we're going to take some outdoor pictures in natural light and then indoor light and just see, like, what we think. But overall, like, I mean, it's so close that I don't see that much of a difference. I'm amazed. I'm amazed that they did such a good job with this. Now, which do I prefer? I still prefer this one. I still prefer this. I'm not upset that I spent the money on this. It's creamier. It's an easier application. If you're a new beginner to makeup, this is so much more easy to work with than this one. This is still good quality, a little higher quality. Like e.l.f. has good eyeshadow. This is better than e.l.f. in my opinion. But you might have to put extra layers on or deepen it up, or you might have to dip in here a couple more times to get the pigment payoff that you would just have to put on once with this one. And you're going to have more of a reflective, shinier look if you use the Natasha Denona side. So, but is the money worth it? That's a personal choice. Like, for me, I can afford this one, right? But if I couldn't, I would skip this and get this, right? There was a time in my life where I wouldn't have been able to afford this and I would get this one. And if you're in that phase of your life, go get this one at Temu. But if you want a higher quality, more reflectivity, creamier, easy to blend, then this one is going to pop on the eye a little bit more for you. Overall though, super, super impressed. And I'm really excited to see if you guys enjoy these type of dupe videos, because it could save you some money depending on where you are in your journey. Now, so comment below what you thought about, first of all, the 2 looks and where you would go. Which palette would you choose? Do you have both? Do you think you want to get this one from Temu for $6.98? It is still available, I did check. Or do you really like the Natasha side and you've been wondering and you're like, man, that's really good quality, I want to get it. And it is, it's just really good quality. I have another video we can do. If you like this style video, they did it with the, what is this, the retro palette with Natasha Denona as well. So let me just open this one up. Again, you can see this is very, very loved. Now, a couple of my shades fell out and I popped them in and I don't know if they're in the right spot right now. So they're probably, this will help me because since they do them in the same one, I can probably pop them out. I think I got them actually in, mostly in the right ones. Oh, there's a little difference in this one. This palette, it looks like. Not, okay, so looking at this palette here, these are, so I haven't even used this one yet. So, but here, this is over here, and that's probably my fault. I probably need to switch those. This one is here. So they're in here. All the same shades are in here. It's just, I think I have one mixed up in here. So if you like these dupe videos, I'm happy to do a dupe video with this and do one eye with Natasha again and one eye with Temu and just see. I didn't see the price of this. It's probably similar. It's probably $6.98. I'm not sure, but that's really pretty, isn't it? Especially when it's not touched yet. So if you like this type of video, let me know. I'm happy to do this one too. Maybe we can do this one next week or something. But I'm really curious to see what you think about these and if you like the dupe videos. So guys, thank you so much for joining me and spending a little bit of your day with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more like it, definitely hit the like button, comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is free, and all it does is just give you a little notification under the bells that the little bell sign up top that I uploaded a new video, and you'll see me on your feed. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, guys. I'll see you all real soon.